three-pointer made. Every field goal made has been three, and Clark!
In the last quarter of the game between the Dallas Wings and the Fever, what did you see? That's when Caitlin Clark changed the rules. She thought the game was almost over. Her next 2 3-point shots were like they were made in her own yard for some reason.
I mean, I think it's pretty similar on and off the floor. Like, she's just been a voice that's been there. She's been through this league for, what, 7 years now? Like, she knows what to expect. She knows how things are going to go.
The attack for the Fever came back to life. 3 players scored 10 or more points, and Clark made 1 more 3 to keep the pace going. Thought things couldn't get any better. Kelsey Mitchell buried her own 3, making things even better. It was like they hit a destruction mode button.
Three-pointer made. Every field goal made has been three, and Clark!
And the Fever came back into the game all of a sudden. Still, that was just the beginning. Caitlin had numbers at the conclusion of the evening that she is starting to use frequently. In addition to his 28 points and 12 assists, he also pulled down 4 rebounds and made 5 3-pointers. How about Kelsey? She finished with 36 points and 5 3-pointers made. It's hard to stop these two when they're on fire together. What could be more bizarre? This occurred multiple times. The Fever defeated the Chicago Sky on the road, led by Angel Reese, and then defeated the Dallas Wings once more. At the beginning of the season, everyone was mistaken about the Fever. They are now forcing everyone to retract their statements. The amazing performance by Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell deserves a closer examination, so let's do just that. Caitlin Clark, a rookie who plays like she's been in the WNBA for years, is the first player up. It's impressive that he scored 28 points, but 12 assists. That shows off her court vision and her ability to shoot the ball into the hoop. She sheds light on her teammates as well. What about those 5 field goals? Clark is stretching the opposition's defense like an elastic band, making holes where none previously existed. It's time to talk about Kelsey Mitchell, who finished with 36 points. Kelsey's palm was burning hot as she faced the Dallas Wings. She is pursuing the ball rather than just waiting for it to come to her, as seen by her 6 rebounds. She also made 5 3-pointers, matching Clark's record. With 2 players of that level putting in such long-range hits, how do you defend? This season, the Fever, dubbed the WNBA's Splash Sisters, are demonstrating why they should be taken seriously. What's most impressive is that Mitchell and Clark combined for 64 points, which is more than half of the team's total. In addition, Clark provided her teammates with numerous opportunities to score with her 12 assists. This is the kind of game when the team as a whole has to perform better. When they play together, it feels more like they have been together for years than just one season, and their fear factor is quickly making them the best in the league. Opposing coaches are having a hard time matching Mitchell's tenacity and ability to generate her own shots with Clark's court vision and long-range shooting. But don't think that this was a one-time thing or just another fun game. The Fever's current victory streak has everyone looking twice at the WNBA standings. Before this game against the Dallas Wings, the Fever had previously proven themselves against the Chicago Sky. The most astounding thing of all, these were 2 wins on the road. Even though it's tough to win in the WNBA, the Fever have defeated formidable opponents twice in a row when they've done it on the road. It was evident from the beginning of the game against the Sky that there would be issues with Clark and Mitchell's connection. They controlled the court and played the game as though they were playing against a high school team. Mitchell was hitting from all over the court, and the Sky defense had no idea how to stop him or Clark, who might make a spectacular pass at any time. Since then, they've gone back and done it again with the Wings. It looks like the Fever have figured out a winning road game plan. These wins have a greater significance than merely points in the standings. They show the other teams in the league that the Indiana Fever is no longer a squad that should be taken for granted. When other teams see the Fever on the schedule, they now understand they will need to put in a lot of effort. The most exciting thing about the Fever is that they seem to be getting better with each game. With every win, the team appears to develop confidence that enables them to perform even better in the subsequent challenge. If the Fever keep playing at this level, I wouldn't be surprised if they had some success in the postseason. Not to be forgotten, though, is Coach Christy Sides, who has been integral to the Fever's growth despite receiving little credit. She has undergone significant transformation and played a crucial role in strengthening the team's unity. The Fever's ability to find a rhythm was questioned at the beginning of the season, but Sides has been able to make the most of each player's potential, particularly the explosive combo of Mitchell and Clark. Her ability to adjust the team's strategy to best capitalize on their advantages has played a significant role in the Fever's transition from an easy win to a formidable league foe. Sometimes it felt like the Fever were playing hoops on a playground, with nobody to help them except themselves. But now, it's a true ballet on the court. The players know exactly where their teammates are at all times. Let's talk about the tactical evolution now. It's clear that Christy Sides has studied the advantages of each player and is developing ways to maximize these abilities. Defense is also another crucial factor. At the beginning of the season, the Fever were giving up easy scores, but now they are defending as though their lives depended on it. This is something Lexi Hull does a lot. She battles for every play like it's her last. The Fever at the start of the season seems like a completely different team. Together, Clark and Mitchell have the potential to be very effective in the postseason. The most incredible thing is how well they complement one another. Clark has amazing court vision and can produce passes that leave opponents agape in shock. Mitchell is a productive scorer who is capable of making her own shot in difficult situations. When combined, they make any defense a nightmare. Think about how this affects the other players. The contagious confidence of Clark and Mitchell helps the team as a whole. The Fever are suddenly playing at a better level. Everyone's bar seems to have been raised by their excellence. An essential factor to take into account is their capacity for stress management at critical junctures. Both Mitchell and Clark desire the ball, therefore they are not afraid of the situation. This gives the team a fantastic sense of comfort in the last minutes of close games. Not to mention that they seem to be having fun on the court. There are no differences other than that. A distinct kind of basketball is played when it is played joyfully. Ultimately, Clark and Mitchell stand for the future of the Indiana Fever, not just the team's current state. And from what we're seeing right now, this future appears bright. This entire thing is visible in the league standings. Remember when the season originally began, the Fever were essentially a wild card, with everyone estimating that they would need an additional year to rebuild and that they would be competitive in 2 or 3 years. But what do you know? The future arrives sooner. The Fever's victory over the Dallas Wings brings their record to 17-16. This is ridiculous for a club that most people thought would be striving to be among the best in the league. The most ridiculous part, though, is that instead of just contending for the playoffs, they are almost a lock to make it. The Chicago Sky, which includes Angel Reese, is currently in 7th position with 11 victories and 21 losses. This is where it gets interesting. Despite having already accumulated a significant lead, the Fever have a real possibility of passing the Seattle Storm in the standings. This completely changes the playoff scenario. No one wants to play against the Fever in the first round anymore. They are no longer the team that everyone wants to play against. Imagine that you are in charge of your team against Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark in a best-of-3 series. It's enough to give anyone the chills. Their increasing momentum will make confidence a crucial element in the playoffs. As they get closer to the finish line, the Fever are sure they can beat everyone. That kind of confidence is what really matters when the chips are down, not to mention the experience these crucial games are imparting on them. All of these narrow victories are learning experiences that will benefit them in the postseason. The Fever is also going into the playoffs with no expectations. Everyone feels they've accomplished more than they should have just by making it there. Are you aware of what that means? They won't be scared to make mistakes and will play freely. A team without fear is a very dangerous one. The Fever's style of play may be a real threat to many playoff teams, especially those that aren't used to blocking this kind of attack thanks to their combination of clever passes and long-range shots. Remember to be surprised. Many teams may underestimate the Fever given their previous performance, but they will later regret it, not Fever. But this is a new crew with a fresh way of thinking. What could matter most, though, is their evolutionary past. This season, the team has gotten better. Who knows if they can continue? Perhaps in the postseason, Mitchell and Clark will be more formidable. Teams elsewhere are terrified. Naturally, taking home the crown would mean a lot. Reaching the title game, upsetting a favorite, and making a big statement in the postseason are all getting simpler. The most exhilarating segment. Whatever transpires, this is only the start. The Fever, Clark, and Mitchell are building something unique that has the potential to dominate the league for many years. The WNBA playoffs this year will be incredible. How about the Fever in Indiana? They might be the most exciting story this postseason. I'm interested in your current thoughts. Are there any chances this year for the Fever to win the title? What potential does this team featuring Kelsey Mitchell and Caitlin Clark have? Is a new WNBA dynasty emerging? I really forward to reading your hypotheses and predictions, so please share them in the comments. There are moments when you notice things that I never noticed. If you enjoyed this analysis and want to stay up to date on everything that is happening in the WNBA, don't forget to hit the bell and subscribe to the channel. This will help you never miss any videos. We can continue this conversation in the next games. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.